can this product be put on like a flow wrap machine?
Mm-hmm.
Does it heat seal? Does it need adhesive? Like how does it work? And I guess what are the limitations?
No, that's a really good question, because what a common dynamic is, companies will be interested in a new material, but they don't want to go buy all new equipment, right? So I'm a manufacturing guy. I understand all the ins and outs of it. I don't want a new material when it costs me $10 million of CapEx equipment. That's not a good pitch. That doesn't work.
Won't work.
All right, man. So I'm super stoked today. We got Alex Abbott with Smartsolve. This packaging dissolves and like just disappears. So I think this is a perfect opportunity to talk about sustainability, circularity, a couple of different things we can do with design. But before we get to that, man, Alex, how are you, dude? How you been?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me on, Evelio. I appreciate it. I've been looking forward to this. I've been traveling pretty steadily for the last couple of weeks. So I've been out there learning and thinking. Our industry is so dynamic and growing with different thoughts, different thought leadership. But happy to be home and talking to you.
All right, I think we just jump right into this thing. Your packaging basically dissolves. I put it in water and it goes away. And I think the biggest question that I get when I talk about this is, where does it go?
Where'd it go?
Right, like what's going into the water? So why don't you tell me a little bit about what it is?
No, it's truly, it's one of the best dog and pony shows, if you want to call it that I've been a part of. It delights the consumer, no matter who does it. It's kind of a shock and awe. And to be super honest about it, I come from a rigid plastics background. And when Smartsolve, asked me to come on and I started looking into this, I had the same reaction everybody else did, which is like, what is going on here? This is just different altogether. So the material, it's a wood-based, paper-based material. So you got to start there, right? Like plastics and paper, lots of packaging and business in those two simple categories. But it's a paper-based material, wood-based, FSC-based material, and then it has trademark adhesive as well. But ultimately, it's a water-soluble paper. So what that means is when it comes in contact with steady water, not just humidity, steady actual water, the material will come apart. It's one of the analogies that's used often is like a chain link fence, but the chains start coming apart. They're still there, but they come apart. And so those small bits of wood pulp, they're fully flushable. And really the simplest way to get that concept into someone's mind is that of toilet paper, because we pass the same testing that toilet paper does, which is very, very high testing. So it's a shocking concept, but then actually, if we can open minds, it's an everyday concept, because this is being done all over all the time. It just hasn't been directly associated with packaging.
Let's take, a couple ideas. Like I've seen shampoos out there. I've seen different products that it comes as like a paper swatch. I use a laundry paper swatch, but I've seen like some shampoos out there where it's like a paper swatch, but it comes in like a sachet of like a paper one, right? And like they promote, you tear this, you throw that on the bottom of you throw that in your shower, it dissolves, and then you've got your paper thing that you rub and turns into suds, and then you wash yourself off. Like that's a pretty cool consumer experience, right? You've got like your branding on here, but then you watch it dissolve and there's nothing left. There's no plastic. There's no cardboard, no packaging. What's another application that you think makes sense for packaging that dissolves?
Yeah, it's such an intriguing thing to think about, right? Like you mentioned shampoos or body washes, in full transparency, I've been fortunate to have some pretty major success in that category prior in my career with some pretty major brands. And I've sold plastic bottles and those things. But you look at it now and you say to yourself, all the plastic that's used in that, the dispense mechanisms, all those things, and the formula is overwhelmingly water too. So you think about, we're making all this plastic, shipping all of this material in really a fairly inefficient way in trucks, and then it's water. It's kind of an amazing thing to think about. Whereas if you have a water-soluble material, that probably is going to be more of a one-time use, but there's nothing left behind, and it's very easy to ship. But then to your broader question, like sachets are one of the single biggest packaging liabilities that many company portfolios have. Why is that? Well, because they get ripped apart and then they end up on the road, in the park, in the beach, wherever it may be. And that trash is also branded trash. it represents that brand wherever it goes. And whereas like with our material, that enormous packaging liability would be totally negated because it's soluble at the end of life. So if it ends up in a pond or in a park or in a trash can, wherever it may be, that problem is going to get solved on the front end because there's a less persistent material that's used. So I think the categories of use are wide ranging from, you could go from a sugar packet to a sachet to body wash. It really is only limited by kind of a design initiative, a brand's initiative in terms of creativity and the consumer behavior. We have seen that they will quickly adopt this once it's presented to them.
All right. So then if we talk about it from a sustainability standpoint, what bin do I throw this in? Right. So if it is the sugar packet and I tear it and I pour it into my coffee and I've got this packet left, is this going into the recycle? Is this going into, the trash, or do I just get it wet and move on? All right, let's take a quick second to talk about idpdirect.com. Go right to that website, download the design guides, the sustainability guides, the recyclable icon guide, which basically lists out all the different icons. It gives them to you in vectors. You can drop them right into your artwork right now, today, and go right into production. All right, back to the pod.
So that's one of the things that we believe is truly unique about what we do, which is we begin with the end of life. That's where we begin. So, we're thinking about that from the get-go. And so the reality is you have to be adept enough to play in the market. You can't swim against the water. You got to swim with the water. And what do I mean by that? I mean that most of the scorecards today for the major companies, they're looking for recyclability, for compostability, fossil fuel-based plastic reduction. Those are the things they're looking for. And if you talk to different companies, different brands, they each have a different emphasis, a different perspective on which one of those buckets matter the most. So what I would say to that is we will help you achieve your sustainability goals at a higher rate, and we will get in the compostable bucket or the recyclable bucket or the fossil fuel reduction bucket. But then we're also going to provide you a different improved end of life that's an additional value to the scorecard value, and that is drain safe. And the reason I think that's the most compelling is this. So home compostability and recyclability are single-digit success rates today. We don't do much of it. Consumer behavior is one reason, but the reason is we don't have the infrastructure. That's the reason. What infrastructure do we have today? Toilets, sinks, showers, septic, sewer. So we want brands, design communities to come to us and say, we need to design around this scorecard metric. And we'll say, yes, plus we're going to give you a drain safe end of life metric that today's not graded. That's a huge ambition of ours. Down the road, we'd love to see drain safe become graded, but it's going to increase the end of life effectiveness because we're going to give people packaging where infrastructure is already in place to be used.
I know the big push is sustainability, circularity, and it feels like if I take my packaging and I put it down my drain, I'm taking it out of that circular process, right? Like, I don't know, that seems like it should go into the recycling bin and then turn back into a paper. But if I put it in the drain, then there's no chance it's coming back.
Yeah, so it's a great question, one we get the most, right? We'll have people super interested in what we're doing, and they'll say, "Hey, we're committed to circularity, so we can't use your material because it's not reused," which we think is flawed thinking. So our material, when it goes down, whatever it goes down from a drain safe perspective, it becomes that wood pulp goes down and it becomes a bacteria. It becomes a food for wherever it goes. So it's going to be used back into the environment in that way. And so we don't believe that should be penalized in any way, but it is, again, it's a different way. It's an under-considered way of thinking.
When you talk about this being FSC certified, are we cutting down trees to create this, or is it FSC recycled material that you're using for this?
Yeah, no, it's coming from FSC certified forest. And so, trees are coming down to make this material. Our material is the highest level of quality. You'll see some different products in the world of solubility, and we don't have time to go into that, but ours is the fastest. So yes, it's coming from good quality material. And then it goes back into the circular environment from an end of life perspective.
There's a bunch of different products out there that if I put, if I'm a consumer and I get a little confused and I put it in the wrong bin, I put it in the recycle bin, it goes through, it actually screws up the waste stream. So if I put this product in there which is meant to dissolve at home in my toilet, in my drain, and I put it in the recycling bin, does that screw things up down the waste stream?
No, it doesn't. And this is a good question because the consumers are confused. There is tremendous confusion about this. And so, no, it doesn't. A couple examples that I want to give. So we would like to use our technology to replace single-use plastics. So as an example, say a meal bar. You go buy a meal bar from the store today, and they will say to return them to recycling. That's being done at like almost a zero clip. And so our material, right? But you could throw it in the garbage, or you could put it down a drain, or you could put it in a recycling container, and it's going to readily degrade. That's another attribute of our materials. It'll readily degrade. So if it doesn't get soluble, if it doesn't get wet, it'll also degrade. So this is what we mean by we start with the end of life. That's where we begin. So we're going to give your packaging multiple pathways to get to a successful end of life. But then also, right, again, to my point, you want to embrace the industry. You don't want to work against the industry. So we need to embrace recycling. Well, one of the best examples of that is we just became APR recognized for the first paper-based label. So we are actually burrowing into and strengthening the recycling community with our soluble technology. And the reason that happened is because paper-based labels are a problem for PET recycling, just the nature of a paper label, the nature of adhesive. That's why you've seen wash-off labels become such a success, because they do have a wash-off adhesive, but the label itself is still that BOP PE film material, and it's floating to the top. Whereas our material, both the adhesive and the substrate itself, they're both dissolvable. So they go in that wastewater stream at a MRF, and it just goes down the drain. It's gone. So it's actually enhanced recyclability. It's not hurting it. It's enhancing it.
What is APR? Right. So you got APR certified. What is that?
Yeah, so Association of Plastic Recyclers. So APR, hats off to them. They've done like a remarkable job. They're a nonprofit that has become the regulatory gold standard in North America for recycling. So if you have any measure of plastic recycling packaging that you want to make sure it can be certified as recyclable, it can go into that end of life channel, APR is what you have to get the sign off from. They have a huge database in terms of all the different packaging options, but they're done a really, really good job. So we had to go through stringent testing to get their certification. But what they're basically saying is, hey, Smartsolve, your labels are fantastic for recycling, and they are the gold standard organization who does that certification.
That's plastics. Why would you guys have to go through a plastic certification?
Yeah, great question, right? So, because we wanted our paper-based labels to become a prime label packaging solution. We believe that our materials are actually an advance, a disruptive innovation to the plastic packaging market from a label standpoint. So the plastic packaging market is getting pushed for monomaterial packages, lightweight materials, but then another push they're getting that has not really been solved fully is they need a sustainable label. So even if you have a down-gauge material, even if you have a monomaterial package and it has a label, that's still a problem. And to this date, it's been a paper label or a wash-off. And we came in and said, hey, if you have a plastic package and it needs to be more sustainable, again, we will strengthen recycling where and when we can. And so we came in to strengthen that opportunity. And there's been already feedback. We've been approved just about 10 days. And had an extremely large CPG reach out to me and said they were getting ready to consider printing packages because they couldn't figure out a label strategy. And then they saw our announcement and they're keenly interested to discuss. So that's the opportunity that we saw.
Got it. Okay. So then it's not that this is recycling as plastic or anything like that you're trying to get certified for. It's, if you're a cleaner or you've got, I'm trying to think of, if you're like, a margarine tub or something like that, right? Where the lid and the base are a monomaterial, but then you've got an added label to this.
Exactly
correct. On the top, the front, instead of having like a wash away label or some of these plastic labels that don't wash off.
Yep.
you can have one of yours that then dissolves.
That tub example, it would be ready to go through the recycling stream, but the label won't come off or the label doesn't meet the criteria. So then it can't go to either reuse or regrind and then be reprocessed. It can't do that because the label doesn't adhere. So our label allows those packages to go back into repurpose, back into regrind, and keep that angle of circularity going, right? Like nobody has the solution that's going to really get us to where we need to go from a sustainability perspective. We all have to work together and provide additional options. And we saw this as a strategic lever to pull.
I just keep thinking, I'm super selfish. So I'm like, where the hell do I want to see this
how do I
label?
use it, right?
Where do I want to see this product?
Yeah.
I'm old, but I love peanut butter and jelly. And I use this jelly, this Bon Maman jelly. It's like,
awesome.
it has like the
checkers didn't get it done for you. They couldn't handle it.
What's that?
The standard jellies, they didn't get it done for you?
No, man. I love this because the shape of the jar is like the perfect glass. Like
it's the inner kid in you coming out, right?
Dude, I've replaced all of my glasses with these stupid jelly jars because they just fit so well. And it's like perfect for whiskey. It's like perfect for I love them. And they're super heavy. Like you can drop them and they don't break. But they have like this paper label. It looks like it's supposed to look like it's handwritten, but I just throw them in. I throw them in my dishwasher with the labels on, and it kind of, it falls apart. But I still have to kind of scrape all the little pieces of paper out of my dishwasher. It's perfect for you guys.
Well, I was going to say, you're just playing right in our hand. Like our labels are dishwasher safe. That's the background actually of our technology is food prep, food safety labels. And so they're putting containers into the dishwasher every day, all day. And it comes off in the dishwasher cycle. Then labor doesn't have to scrape or do any of that. So yeah, if you have your favorite jelly jar, we become the prime label. You're just going to throw it in your dishwasher and that product will come off in the dishwasher, drain in the dishwasher, and you'll just be rocking and rolling.
Yeah. Yeah. Those are awesome, man. Like every time I put those in there, I'm like, damn, I wish this thing would just come off easier.
Yeah. Yeah. The one for me is like all that just drives me crazy, right? This idea of being selfish or where you're interested, but in my just normal life, like these stick packs drive me crazy. Like the instant coffee, which I don't drink it because I don't think it's very good, but the packaging's amazing. I'm like, why are we not using water-soluble material for the instant coffee powders, where somebody dumps in their coffee and then stirs it, and you just throw that stick pack right there in the sink, or the liquid IVs, all that sort of electrolyte products of the world, all those powders of the world. So these small single-use plastic applications, I'm like just like drooling over. Like, man, we just got to get an audience and talk to these people because we can get their scorecard metric, but then we can also give them a drain safe end of life, and their marketing can go crazy selling this message of sustainability and delighting the consumer. So that's the stuff when I'm with my family, having, my kitchen cooking supposed to be having a hard time. I'm sitting there getting, a little irritated about. So.
Yeah. All right. So then where else could we use this? You talk about stick packs, liquid IV. I know Liquid Death just came out with like their own flavored packets. But those are in like Mylar pouches, just like, metallized plastics, and they're all about death to plastic. So that doesn't necessarily go with their message, but a product like this is no plastic.
That's right.
You tear it, you pour it in, and then you can, dissolve it. Like that, like that's a perfect fit.
It's those guys need to give us a call. And that would go to our patented technology that we're actually coming out next year and already have development partners for specific material specifications, but where we can take this water-soluble paper material that we've been talking about and then combine it with any and all bioresins. And that's what allows us to get oxygen and water barrier into the package, which now the opportunity for all these stick packs and different things we're talking about, the window becomes very wide, because before we didn't have barriers. So you are limited to a dry powder, to a tablet, to a widget, something like that. But going forward, we won't be. We'll be able to attack things like what you're talking about. Yeah. So those people eliminating plastics, that brand you're talking about, they should come talk to us so we can make them a plastic-free solution. One term that a company asked me for that I love, again, I have a background in plastics, but they called and they said, hey, can you help us with plastic-free plastic? And that was like, I totally understood what they meant. I don't need fossil fuel based, but I need this great, usage solution. And that's where we are.
If finding your spec data is a wild goose chase around your office, you've got a data problem. SpecRite is the only cloud-based management specification solution that every brand needs. Because if you don't spec right, you'll spec wrong.
Okay. And plastic-free plastic, right? That's where they're looking for those barrier properties that plastic offers.
Yes. Yeah. They want to get away from fossil fuel based, but they still need the barrier functionality. And so how can we do that? In the world of bioresins, we are in early days, right? I'm a golfer, played high school and college. And so that's just kind of in my blood. Like bioresin technology, we're on hole 2. Like this is early days. There's a lot that can be done with this from a technology, from an infrastructure perspective. So this is a macro, initiative that you're going to see just grow and grow and grow in the packaging world.
Okay. So then if I'm a design agency and I've got a client developing product for, I guess, where are the opportunities for me? Is this food safe?
Yeah. So our new technology will be, and we're in the process of having our facility certified. So the answer is yes. That's well down the road. But yeah, so the new technology, we see the ideal fit in single-use food and single-use laundry category and cleaning category. But I would say, you're so tied into the design community and about you, I would say first and foremost, the companies, the clients, the brands you have, that they come to you and they just are. Actually, I heard the CEO of IKEA say this at Circularity last week, and I just thought it was well said. He said the moment that you realize that you don't want to be sustainable, you are sustainable, that's when you got it. That's when you're starting to go down the right path. And so the clients you have who just are sustainable, like that's how their companies, that's how their brands, that's their table stakes, that's where they begin. Those would be the ones that this is where you should come. People who are looking for really new, very forward thinking sustainable options, not just claiming to be sustainable, but actually on the front end of it. And then the other piece is the companies who are adept at marketing. The companies who are adept at marketing like our product in inordinate amount, more than is normal, because they instantly see the opportunity to delight the consumer, to tell a sustainability story at the same moment. How can I represent my brand and be sustainable at the same moment? And our packaging represents that. One of the examples was a pouch stock for a feminine care product line. They did exactly what I just described, and they had 4 million views on TikTok the first day they put it out there.
That's that tampon product, right?
Yeah.
Where you basically tear it. You're in the bathroom. You can take that wrap and just toss it in the toilet, move on.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Again, we pass the same standards as toilet paper from a flushability perspective. So that company had no problem wrapping its mind around, okay, the pouch just goes in the toilet and goes down. And they embrace that because they are about sustainability. They're not trying. It's not like a metric. They are about it. And that conveyed to their consumers so quickly that it went viral.
All right. So then if I'm a design agency, I've got product that is food safe. It comes in different weights, right? So you've got you've got thinner stock, you've got board stock. So I guess, how would I think about it? Like, I guess, I'm just thinking out loud, like I would probably want to consider the environment where this is being opened. So I want to be near water. So it could be like a product for surfers. It could be a product for bath time for kids.
Yep. For the bath.
Right.
Laundry, cleaning,
food, food prep.
You probably don't want to be around condensation, right? So like frozen products, probably not a great fit. That life cycle of cold, hot condensation is probably not great. So surfers, showers, bath, food, single-use food, laundry applications, cleaning applications, refill cleaning applications. You sell a trigger sprayer bottle, and instead of selling another huge trigger sprayer bottle, sell a dry powder in our pouch stock that you just drop in, shake, and you're on your way. So refill applications are huge. Refill applications are huge from our label category too, because with the labels material, it washes off so easily. The containers can just be reused so readily. So reuse case. And then as far as other concerns, right? So the material does really good from super cold to super hot. That's not an issue. Standard humidity, not an issue. But where it is where you have actual water that actually resides on the material, and then it will do what it's designed to do. So that's why condensation, frozen items, wet life, most body washes that are a bottle or something like that, they're going to live in the shower. That's where they're going to sit. That's probably not a great fit, but the market's so big that we're super excited about becoming a niche, and letting other materials have those wetter lives.
It's not just the pack and the fact that it dissolves, right? It's an opportunity to create some cool experiences. If I were to print, full color print on one side of the sheet, but you don't see it from you don't see it from the other side, and it starts melting, like you'd be able to it starts becoming translucent, right? So I'd be able to show whatever's printed on the back side as like a hidden reveal before it dissolves, almost like a top secret message.
You are so sharp. I have to be vague on purpose, but just this week, somebody showed us an application that's somewhat what you're talking about, where the material washes away and reveals a different experience. And it's super, super neat. So you're right on the same path. And I think this idea of delighting the consumer, providing an experience, is a great way to think about it. What if it was, more like secondary packaging? I think of even soap bars. Why wouldn't soap bars be in our board stock material? We can print on them. The brand can be represented. Then the soap is pulled out, and then the soap soluble. It can go down the drain, or if it ends up on a beach or a campsite or whatever, it's going to end up in a good end of life. So soap bars or secondary packaging, even, if somebody wants the material that the product is encased in to be zero waste. You might call it melt away, or you might call it evaporating, or whatever marketing term you want. Yeah. But say somebody buys, a great widget, and it's in a pouch that it can go down the drain, and it's in a box that can go down the drain. And so in comes this package, this experience, and all you're left with at the end, which would be so marketable, is the widget you purchased and the packaging's gone. Right. So just amazing opportunities to think differently, to think outside of the box. But I think the concept of how can we delight the consumer, how can we provide something to them that's just different, is a great pathway to begin brainstorming on.
Oh, that's awesome. And then, all right. So then if I'm thinking about food, can this product be put on like a flow wrap machine? Mm-hmm. Does it heat seal? Does it need adhesive? Like how does it work? And I guess what are the limitations?
No, that's a really good question, because what a common dynamic is, companies will be interested in a new material, but they don't want to go buy all new equipment, right? So I'm a manufacturing guy. I understand all the ins and outs of it. I don't want a new material when it costs me $10 million of CapEx equipment. That's not a good pitch. That doesn't work.
Won't work.
So the good news is we have a lot of history around heat seal. The material works very well for heat seal. The dwell time's like 1.25 seconds. So people are pleasantly surprised. The know-how is solid. With this new interest into food packaging, new entrance into food packaging, we know that the flow wrap and the cold seal is going to become part of it. We have every confidence that our material will be able to do that. We just know we will have a little bit of learning to do, to adapt it along the way. But so we believe heat seal or cold seal, existing machinery, existing fill capabilities, and we'll be on our way.
So food, flow wrap, like a bag of chips. Can I do a bag of chips in this?
Yeah, so a bag of chips, right? Compelling because the volume's just monster. But that one, to me, I think that's going to come down to the barrier spec. How high does that barrier need to be, and are they really going to be willing to move the barrier down at all? Because when you think about a bag of chips, like those things can be out there for years, right? Like it's not hard to find a snack size bag of chips that's been sitting in an airport or a house or something for a long time. So my suspicion going into that is the barrier requirement's going to be high. So we'll have to see if the material can get there or not. But it's an idea for sure. But I see more like, as I stated, meal bars, single use, any type of like liquid IV powder, single use, maybe some wetter products, but they don't have a ton of wet content. Maybe we can find a way for that. Nuts, grains, rices, teas, sugars, all those different kind of opportunities.
I'm thinking bigger, man. I'm thinking chips.
Chips?
No. Yeah, no, because like, man, those bags, I got my kids got a softball tournament this weekend. There are bags of chips left and right. And then those things
everywhere.
blow away in the wind, and you see them just like tumbling out in the field. They don't recycle. There's no proper bin for those things necessarily.
We would love to develop against that. We would love to. And I just think it would take a case where a company was truly just willing to see how can we take this barrier, like how much do we actually need to get a better end of life solution? But we would love to develop against that.
Yeah. And then it makes me think of like this pack here. But I just got this one here where like General Mills came out with this new box. It's like a 2-pound box of cereal. They got rid of the bag inside because of the idea of having the cardboard and the plastic bag inside. The plastic bag is obviously for the barrier property, but this one doesn't have a bag inside, but it does have like this plastic container or snap lid.
Mm-hmm. Cool. I haven't seen that yet.
Like your paper could be the bag inside, and then it's monomaterial, right? I mean, it could actually be the cardboard outside as well. And then both pieces just dissolve.
That would be just gone. No, you're right. Kitchen. And that inner layer would be a good idea. Another idea one of our team members had, which I thought was brilliant, was if you think about like a pet food bag, and inside it has that clear plastic liner on the inside where the food is. Well, oftentimes that will prohibit that package from being recyclable because of the inside liner. What if we use our material as an inside liner, and then that would allow the entire package to be recyclable? I thought that was brilliant as well, and opens up a whole different avenue of packaging solutions.
Yeah. So then the inside liner is basically a coating.
Yes.
That you.
Yeah.
You would become a coating.
Yeah. We could use our water-soluble paper coat and then coat it with whatever need be, or we could develop a coating on its own. But I think the best idea would be some level of our existing paper with a coating, and then it becomes recyclable.
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's right. My dog food comes in an RPET bag, which is not recyclable. And those things they're massive. But, I'm buying like a big 40-pounder. But yeah, I don't know. From a strength perspective, would your paper be able to, would there be limits?
Yeah, I think there would be limits.
And there's my dog.
Yeah, and then I'm cute. Well done, man. You have that thing trained.
Got him trained.
Yeah. No, there would be limits that we'd have to test around and figure that out. But I think there would certainly be a size and scale that would work.
Yeah, dude, this is the part that I love, is just like coming up with like application. Like, what could we do?
What about candies? All these candies. I think it's an awesome opportunity. All these single-use candies or different wrappers, right? That's something we would love to jump in. And candies, right? Those companies, the ones that are sustainable, they also like candy companies get delighting the consumer. Like they get out of bed for that. And so I see that as a huge, awesome opportunity as well.
Oh, there's a new gummy worm company out there called Rotten. I had the guy on the podcast like a year and a half ago or so when he was just working on it in his dorm room. But like that would be perfect, right? Yeah. So from a print brand experience perspective, you could print like this Rotten thing happen on the inside of the bag that you don't see. And then you eat it, and then when you start dissolving it, all of a sudden it just transforms the graphics, right?
Yes.
Like it can be like a perfectly beautiful model face on the outside, and then as it starts dissolving, you can see like the skeleton prints on the inside, and kind of marry those up.
It's an unbelievable idea. It's an awesome idea.
Some crazy stuff.
What an idea! That's awesome. Yeah.
Like, are you able to tube this stuff? Right. So make like cylinders.
Well, that's another idea. Is when you think about the prime label. So I'll answer that in two parts. First part, if you think about the prime label space, can our material be used in round containers, tube containers, those things like that? We believe the answer is yes. Second part of that is, can we tube it like the board stock or the pouch stock? Yeah. Can we tube that? The pouch stock, there's some ability. It's malleable to a degree. And then the board stock, I don't know that we really could tube that. I think it's going to be a little bit more of a rigid structure than a tube structure. That's a great question.
Okay, yeah, because you know the way they make those tubes, right? It's basically it's a roll to roll, and it just kind of spins it around, and I've got like this little spool here, and you can see like the little lines on there.
Yeah.
Like that canister would be killer. And like, what else could you do? Even from like a experience perspective, if you if it's like a bath time toy or something, something that's going into water, you don't have to make the box open, right? I mean, we can seal this box completely.
Yeah, you get a bath bomb.
The only way to open it is to
drop it in.
Get it wet.
Yeah, drop it in. So yeah, you could a bath bomb. Imagine a company choosing to do that. So they could do the bomb in a pouch and then drop that in the bath, and there it goes. That's pretty easy to imagine, but would be awesome. Or even bigger than that, you could put that bomb in a pouch, put the pouch in some board stock, print it, and so it comes, and you don't ever actually grab the bomb. You just grab the box and you put it in your bath, or something like that. That'd be really, really neat.
That's killer. So then, from a print perspective, and I did this on the Monday show, which you can check out live on Monday, 7:30 a.m. PST.
Somewhere
with Adam.
Yeah.
Adam and Corey. Yeah, I was like trying to remember when that show's on. I wrote using Sharpie on some Smartsolve, and then I got it wet, and you see it dissolving. But then you see whatever I wrote was still kind of floating separate, kind of stayed, and then it dissolved.
Yeah.
What kind of inks what kind of ink should you be using? I guess, what are the limitations on print and stuff?
Yeah, we really lean into this because it just drives home the fact that as a packaging community, we have to think about end of life all the way through. It can't be in parts. We've got to think about it all the way. So our material prints just as well as standard paper. So it's robust. You got full capabilities in terms of what can we print. Now, since the material dissolves, you do have to think about what are the inks going to do when it dissolves, which is your point. And so then you come to either digital as a great solution that works, or water-based flexo inks. So UV are typically more common on flexo, but that doesn't end well with the dissolving at the end of life. But water-based does. So that's our guidance to folks daily, weekly, commonly is digital print or water-based ink, water-based flexo inks.
So then, as I'm thinking about this, I don't want to do a foil stamp.
No,
because a metallic foil stamp, everything will dissolve, but then my foil stamp logo is just gonna be floating in my toilet.
Exactly.
Basically.
Yeah. Is it possible? I think it's probably possible, but is it congruent? Is it in parallel with the end of life? No, it's not. And again, that comes to the companies, the brands. They're committed to sustainability. That is the angle they're coming. That's the air they breathe. And so we really lean into this part of it. And we don't see it as a hindrance. We see it as a help, but it's just another area to think through.
Yeah. And that's the challenge, right? As a creative, you're like, oh, this is awesome. It has all these cool experiences. Now I'm going to throw everything at it, right? I want to do, debossing, embossing, full stamping, spot UVs, all the different processes. But you have to think about the end of life, right? So full stamped, can you do it? Absolutely. Possibly.
Yeah, possibly.
But is that what you want to see that thing floating in the water? Is that really dissolving everything?
Exactly.
Probably not.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not going to tell a company no, right? I mean, we can try it and roll with it, but we are going to tell them what's going to happen so that they can consider it.
As we start wrapping up here, what's an application? I know you talked about the single use tear strips, the liquid IVs, those types of products. What's the wildest area that you think this should be in?
Well, I don't know if it's wildest, but one of them that just seems like an incredible opportunity is the meal bar category. I think it's an awesome opportunity because you have the metallized paper there today, and then you have the compostable paper there today, and the statistics on what's actually happening at the end of life are not good. And so to come in with a meal bar with a kid or an adult, it's convenience, it's on the go. They scarf it down, then what happens to the wrapper? And just to know that we've solved that issue, that the wrapper, no matter where it ends up in end of life, it's going to be a great end of life story. I think it's just an awesome opportunity because that's a huge consumable category and it's not ending well right now. Yeah. So that's a great example to me. In our label category, I think all the PET blister packs for fruits and things, I think is an awesome opportunity now that we're approved there. Really, really neat. And then on the existing pouch stock with no barrier, I would just continue to like to talk with folks who are looking at dry powder, tablet, and widget applications. Everything from a water filter. Somebody orders a brand new water filter for a pitcher and it comes in plastic. Yeah. why does it need to be in there? That filter's fine. We can put it in pouch stock. They order a new water filter, and guess what happens when they bring the water out? They just put the pouch right there in the sink. I mean, it seems like a natural story to me. Or all these different cleaning tablets and powders. And then I guess the other really big wow would be to continue to work on the laundry category and take away the microplastics, take away the fossil fuel solutions, take away the waste that is laundry detergent, and find applications, create applications that can just be thrown in the wash, thrown in cleaning solutions and just be ready to go. You're talking about big category, big wows, laundry, meal bars, PET blister packs. I mean, these are big, big categories. And so it's an exciting future.
And you guys aren't just starting out. You're at scale, right? So if I am a meal bar, I'm not trying to figure out how to get you guys to scale. You're there.
Yeah, no, I appreciate answering that question. The company, short version, the company was founded out of a larger successful parent company in 2016, became independent 2022. And we are past the startup phase. We're strong. We're in a scale-up stage. We're growing. And so we're adding people and capability very, very quickly. But no, we are ready. We're actually in development with a very well-known CPG on several projects, working things forward. So no, if a meal bar company comes to us, Dude Wipes comes to us, Liquid IV comes to us, any of these guys comes up, we are ready to do so. Now there is an element to where we need invested, interested partners, right? Because we can't be all things to all people. But when we find people who, they see this technology, and that's really what it is, just a little personal story. I've been at Smartsolve about a year. And a really cool thing, in the final interview, they asked me to bring my wife up as well. They wanted to be able to meet her. And so that was really great. We shared, a meal and all those things. But, she asked me when we were leaving, she said, "What do you think of this?" And I said, Silicon Valley? And she goes, "Yeah." I said, "This is Silicon Valley, except it's Northern Ohio and it's packaging." It's really a technology company is a simple way to say this. And so to be as direct and sort of humble at the same time as I know how to be, the companies who see the technology, want to develop the technology, we are already doing so. We're ready for that. We're grown up for that. We're investing for that. So no, we are any phone call we're ready to take. We just need people who are really serious about it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. And I think, if you're a design agency out there and you're looking for something new, definitely go, smartsolve.com, check out this stuff, and they can reach out to you and get some samples. They can reach out to you and just kind of talk through, like, here's some concepts that we have, and you can help them figure out like what application it is. And I guess if you're not just an agency, if you're a freelancer, if you're working with a big brand, if you are a brand, like, these are just some cool things to be looking at. I know there's a lot of brands that reach out to me like, "Hey, what do you think of this new pineapple faux leather?" And it's like, well, that's kind of plastic, or like they're always asking like, what's the next material? Like, this is a killer material. Like, this is, I know I requested a bunch of samples from you guys. I've got, a couple of teams testing different things that are like super random. And I know most of them are not going to work at scale, but it's like, if you don't try a bunch of stuff, you're not going to know where it applies and where it doesn't. Mm-hmm. Right. And then I might be able to show something to someone and they're like, "Yeah, I love this concept, but not in this application," and then develop something new. So it's kind of like this playground sandbox that we're just kind of kicking off and figuring out like where things work.
Yes.
And where it doesn't.
But the design community can be so helpful, right? Because they can help pull us forward into projects. And we hope to help the design community by giving them this new tool in their toolbox. So when they do have people that come to and say, "I want sustainability and I want something different," like, they can call us. They got another option in their toolbox to pull forward. And that's really the value that we think we can bring, and we want to bring a design community. We're not going to be the right company for every project, but the ones that are innovative, they're sustainable, they're marketable, they're different. We want to come along and help you.
That's awesome, man. I appreciate it. Alex, thank you so much for hopping on here with me. Check out smartsolve.com. Reach out to Alex and his team if you've got any questions on this.
Yeah, no, thank you, friend. I appreciate it. And yeah, I'm easy to find. Alex at smartsolve.com. Alex at smartsolve.com. I'm easy to find. Be happy to connect with anyone. But appreciate the time and your friendship, and it's a lot of fun.